Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite dictator here, President Obonjo. I want to start again, as I normally do with my podcast, to thank every single one of you who keep downloading or watching the podcast on video. We are definitely creating a scene across the podcasting world. And let me say this once again, I am the only president, the only dictator with a podcast, and that has to be a beautiful thing. I hope you recovered from Valentine's Day. Such a waste of money commercially, especially if you have 6 wives. And you know what is really interesting about Valentine's Day is this. I have survived 3 lockdowns with 6 wives, and I'm still in a relationship. Why do I have to prove to them that I have got to get them sweets just to, satisfy my urges? Anyway, it's all good. Since I last came on the podcast, I also have a minister of fitness, Joanne Groves. She keeps me busy in terms of making me, I want to be fitter than Putin. I want to be as athletic as Putin, not as, athletic as Putin. And that's what I've been doing. And there are video clips of my interaction with my fitness inspector. But the most important thing that I need to share, finally, I have got in touch after so much. Well, maybe some of you don't know that the late Idi Amin Dada is my father, okay? Not many people know this because he had an affair with a Nigerian woman and they banished us to Nigeria. Let me tell you what is now happening. I have now made contact with one of my brothers, Jafar Amin, and he is going to be on this podcast. And I have to say to you, we have been talking ever since I made contact with him on Sunday. I honestly don't understand what is going on. But if someone had said to me 11 years ago when I became president of Laughter Republic, that I will end up talking to Idi Amin's son, his real son now, when I say, there are about 60 of us. There are 1,000 people claiming that Idi Amin is their father. And I am one of them. But there's only 60 that is really valid. But with no further ado, I want to introduce you to a comic that I respect. He's a young brother on so many fronts. You see, when I was performing comedy before I now became, a full-time president, Nelson and I believe we met in Norwich, if not somewhere else. But he used to run a very nice comedy night in Norwich. And you see, you might not know this because I am middle-aged. All the black comics call me uncle, while all the white comics call me mate. Nelson calls me uncle or president. He will never ever call me mate because he has to show respect, even though we're in a very cold country. Now, Nelson is an actor, extra writer, director, film and stage crew, a stand-up comedian living in Norwich, in England. He has performed in so many venues, reputable venues, the Comedy Store, the Comedy Cafe, Frog and Bucket in Manchester, and many other places across the country. He has also featured on BBC's Norfolk's new comedy show, along with a monthly night. Oh, geez, we had some really wonderful nights at a place called Gonzo. I always killed it. I killed it and always stormed it. Nobody could follow me a few months later. I did pretty well. I know that for a fact. So it's quite heart-wrenching to talk about Gonzo's Tea Room. If you have never ever played that room and you call yourself a comic, you are not really a comic. It's a fantastic place. And also he's done he's done very well. But I think the first lockdown, I made contact with him. We caught up. I hadn't started doing my podcast because I was still trying to find my way. But I with no further ado, Nelson is also from Zimbabwe. And that's not one of the reasons why I asked him to come. But it's really interesting how when I used to perform on stage, all those white people would say, "You remind me of Mugabe." And I knew nothing. I looked nothing like Mugabe. Besides, Mugabe never wore a uniform. But just because I was black and they saw me as a dictator, they just always assumed that I was trying to mimic Mugabe. So with no further ado, Nelson, and I am an African and I feel so ashamed not to be able to pronounce his name. And this is what happened. He has signed in as Tinashe. So I just thought, geez, lockdown has turned this man into a woman, unless he has a vaccine. He's had a vaccine, because I don't know what Tinashe means. His name is Nelson Gombakomba, and he will correct me. It's a very long name. How do you pronounce your name, Nelson?
Gombakomba.
Okay. What does that actually mean?
Gombakomba, see, there's different theories, right? The first one means lover boy. So like a playboy, but African style, right? Like when someone that the man that a married woman sneaks inside the house when a man is at work.
Yeah.
That's a Gombakomba. There's also another theory. Gomba means hole in Shona, which is my native language. So there's different theories. Some say it just means holes. Some say it means lover boy. I think it's somewhere in between, but even the Gombakombas are divided on the interpretation of that.
Okay. Yeah, and it's really interesting. They say you should always be careful about the name you give your children, because you are definitely a lover boy. Because audiences and viewers, when I tried to arrange this podcast with Nelson yesterday, he told me off. He said, "Uncle, don't you respect Valentine's?" I wanted a podcast interview with him on Valentine's Day. I couldn't care less whoever he was with, but you can tell he's a lover boy. How was Valentine's Day anyway?
Well, it was good. I FaceTimed my Valentine's Day. She wasn't here. We respect the lockdown rules, my president. So there was no exchange of any limits. We did not risk each other's lives. Let's just say, keep it at that.
I am quite impressed, because you are much younger than me. I would have thought that. Where is she based? Is she in the UK or abroad?
Right now she's abroad, but I'm going to do what needs to be done and bring her to the UK.
Okay, so you didn't really respect the lockdown then. It was more of a case she was abroad, and that's why you had to. I'll tell you a little story, my friend. I just recently joined Bumble. Yeah, it's a dating site, just for the sake of comedy. And I am the first human being to get stood up on a Zoom date. We had a Zoom date, and we were going to meet on Zoom. She gave me all her details, and I was waiting, waiting like I was waiting for you, and boom, she didn't show up.
Jesus. I mean, are you still talking to her? Did she had met you?
I don't know. Maybe she finally found out that I was a comedian and I wasn't serious. Like women like men in uniform. I don't know what happened.
They were like, a comedian. No, I prefer a real dictator.
I prefer a real dictator. But how have you been? How have you been anyway? How have you been?
First of all, let me just say, Benjamin, Obonjo, how do you want me to address you?
I'm not sure who you are calling Benjamin. It is President, His Excellency, President Obonjo.
First of all, let me just say, Your Excellency, my President Obonjo, the man who the first time I saw, I knew that I just knew me and you were going to be connected. You were so electric the night I saw you. You made the only people sing, and I was, the first time you meet a really good actor, like, this guy is someone that we will meet so many times. So I remember the first time I saw you about 5-6 years ago, and it seems like a long time now, and here we are. It's almost 7 years ago, isn't it?
Yes, almost 6-7 years ago. Alzheimer's are setting, so I can't remember that time.
Okay, but anyway, I just want to say, first of all, it is a massive pleasure to be on your podcast. I am such a big fan of you, and I am also a follower.
Thank you.
Have done so much great work. No one can ever say Obonjo does not respect comedy, because you have put in the work. So first off, thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you.
In all honesty, it's a massive pleasure.
Yeah.
Now, how have I been? This has been tough times, President, because it's not a normal thing to just stay indoors all this time. So I've been trying to keep myself busy.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried online gigs. They're not the same as being on stage, but you know, what can we do? It's hard. So I've focused more on just the material
Mm-hmm.
of late. I've tried to develop ideas that I had previously not managed to develop because before Corona, life was moving so fast. That's what I'm realizing. I was doing a show every other day at some points. I was doing gigs like weekly. And now that I've had time to rest, I've had time to just think, damn, that was such a fast pace of doing things. So now I've sat down, I've written jokes, I've developed material, and now I just need to test them out. Now, the problem with online gigs is that people don't really give you that back and forth. Like, you know, when you're on stage, someone heckles something random, and that heckling eventually makes it into the joke months later when you think, oh man, let me add this line, let me do that. So those are the things I miss, because there were times on stage when I would just rant, because some of my jokes, when I start off, they're not written solidly, it's just points. And then when I pause and when people heckle, I see different directions of taking the joke. Now, that's something that I feel like has been taken away. So I've now had to go do online gigs, go do Zoom gigs, which is really, it's not the same thing, because you're talking to a camera and we're so used to that instant reaction, so that we do what we do. But we have to adapt, because no one knows how long this will last. So the last few months, well, almost a year now, to answer your question, has just been about getting to a point where when things get back to normal, I am as ready. I am as ready as I can be.
I thank you so much for your compliments, and I do identify with you in terms of, because I was busy, man. I was always all over the place. It's only after the lockdown that I just said to myself, was I going through some mental health issues? Because I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop performing. I was just all over, constantly performing, constant. Now I know where my house is. My house knows me. I know where the, just what I'm saying. There were so many things. There were so many things, Nelson. I didn't know how I'm trying to look for the right words, how it consumes you. Comedy consumes you, that you neglect other parts of your life. That it's only when, like, the first lockdown and the second lockdown, then I realized, wow, I haven't done this. I haven't done this. And actually, I should really just take a step back and just think, where am I going with all this presidency of mine? What do I want to do next? But it's not my fault. I was just busy. I was in demand. Every weekend, someone wanted me.
Think about it, President. You could do like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then maybe rest on a Sunday, then carry on a gig on Monday. That's like 4 or 5 gigs in a space of 7, and that's normal to us.
Yeah,
and that's
but when you think about it now, it is complete madness as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, you should choose carefully the gigs you want to do. You should choose. You need to be more strategic. That's my first learning point for me. You know, because geez, I was running all over the place. I felt like I just discovered sex, and I was just
every night.
Every night I had to, and then all of a sudden it vanishes. It vanishes, and you, what next? What next? But you're gone.
I think part of the reason is, before lockdown, right? The system that we had for comedy was based on hard work and not so much substance. And the reason I say that is because you have a much better chance of progressing if you're working hard, if you're performing every night, if you're doing as many gigs as possible. But now that these gigs have been taken away, people that used to rely on gigs for progression now have to focus on the material. So now, back in the But if you're not performing at these, reputable clubs, no one would notice you. You would still have to do this stuff. Like, no one would hire you for doing a good 10-minute set from Gonzo to London without doing some stuff.
Can you increase your volume a little bit? You need to increase your volume, I think.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. All
right. So my point was, right, that in the past, people used to rely on the number of gigs they've done as a sign of how good they're doing.
Yeah, yes.
You could do 100 gigs, and even if you're not that good, people consider you a headliner because you have put in the work.
Yeah.
But now people have been forced to focus on the material, because now you cannot just say, oh, I've done 100 gigs. What have you done? You could have done 100 gigs of the same show. Now it's time to focus on how funny are you. People have taken away all the other things that people used to just rely on, because I felt like in the past it was more about the number of gigs, the number of places, all this experience. But since that has been taken away, you actually need to look at the reason people find you funny. So these online gigs, all these other opportunities, or when things get back to normal, I will be forced to then focus on the material, because it's not about the 100 gigs or all these places you're performing. It's about how good you are, how much people are really laughing at what you say, how people are connecting.
I would not write off. You're absolutely right, but I would not write off Zoom gigs. You won't believe it. I have been doing some Zoom shows where I get my fan base to come and watch my new show.
Yeah.
And I just recently did Leicester Comedy Festival. I did an hour show on Zoom, and I got a response. I heard people laughing, and you're right. It's not the same as live performing live, but my brother, the comedy landscape has changed.
It has.
It will happen. I don't genuinely believe, even when they vaccinate everyone, that everybody will want to go to a comedy club straight away.
No.
Because some people are finding it so easy. Can you imagine? You can sit in your living room half naked with a cup of tea, watch me perform. Okay, if you don't want to watch me perform, you can sit down in your living room half naked, watch Michael McIntyre. Or all these top comics. So it's going to be really, really difficult to get those people out there again, because it's now become a matter of convenience. People have discovered another way of watching comics.
But I think there's a good and a bad, because whilst I have mentioned the disadvantages of online gigs, so for my style of comedy, I like that back and forth. I like when
it's the same. It's the same. Yeah,
same for you as well.
Yeah,
you like that back and forth. But with this new system that we're in right now, I've realized that what you're saying is true. So let me tell you what I realized. Right, I realized that back in the past, you and I would probably do, like, let's say in a weekend, 3 gigs, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And on average, on a Thursday, you might do 50 people. On a Friday, you might do 100, Saturday, 200, right? On average. Now, when you look at Zoom gigs, the numbers are mad. The numbers are, you can do, it's unlimited. So, assuming that, like, the system that you have in place works, if you can do Zoom gigs like we used to do back in the day, and if the numbers match, then I mean, you've hit the jackpot, because really, like, even though it's on Zoom, you're performing to a similar amount of people that you would have performed to over the weekend. So,
I think but I made a decision that I was not going to apply for any Zoom gigs. Anybody who contacts me and says he wants me to perform is because, number one, they know how to arrange the Zoom gig. They know that I need to hear people respond to my laughter, and I'll take it up. But I won't, anyone who posts on any social media platform and says, oh, please apply for 10, I don't waste my time doing that. I don't.
Too much.
Yeah, it's too much. I'm not doing that, because number one, I don't know if I'm playing to comics rather than to audiences. Why would I want to play? Why would I want to play to 10 comics? I'm sorry.
I can do that without the lockdown.
No. I wasn't doing that when there was a live performance. Why would I want to do that on a Zoom? You want to destroy my presidency. You want to destroy my soul. So I don't even bother with that. Let's move on, Nelson. The title of the podcast is called "If Comedians Ruled the World" with President Obonjo. And I know you have a particular subject that you want to address, because I demanded that you actually talk about this particular subject. So it's not a matter of choice. The other thing I should have said to you is that whatever you say, you civilians, you like freedom of speech. So I'm not editing this podcast. So whatever you say stays as it is. And that is not a warning. I'm just telling you, I am not editing, because I'm trying. Since I've been under house arrest in England, I've been trying my best to understand freedom of speech. So the floor is yours. Whatever you say doesn't get edited.
I'll tell you what, if I was the prime minister of this country, I'd teach comedy in school, and you wouldn't be able to drop it until you're 16, until you've completed your GCSE. Every single student would be expected to do a 10-minute set, for GCSE in front of the whole school. And the reason why I say that, Benjamin, is because...
You keep calling me Benjamin. I am not Benjamin. I'm President Obonjo.
Okay, all right, okay. I do apologize, please. I'm so sorry. But the reason why I say that, Obonjo, is because comedy has given me and you something that is hard to explain to a non-comedian.
Mm-hmm.
So we are able to stand in front of a crowd, say the most embarrassing stories, but live with our head held high.
Mm-hmm.
We've realized that the human ego is just a barrier. If you want to have fun, you just have to be yourself, man. This shyness. Sorry, go on. All right. I was just going to say, like, telling students or everyone to do stand-up comedy, or at least forcing them to do it, would make them come out of their shell. Like, there's something about comedy that makes you realize that as long as this person is laughing, it's gonna be fine. I can say whatever crazy thing I can, but if they are laughing, then I could joke about the most disgusting, as long as they are laughing, that's all that matters. So if you have that approach, man, I feel like that's something people can benefit from.
I think I agree with you to a certain extent. And I have no regrets performing comedy, because I've done it for 11 years. However, Nelson, I will have to say to you that they will also need to find a way of supporting these people that you want, performing stand-up comedy. And I think, because I tell you, you know how the things that irritate me about performing comedy are this, not necessarily in terms of material or performing the stage. Number one, validation from other people. Yeah, it kills people. If you do not have confidence, you are finished. I always say to people, if you suffer from low self-esteem, comedy is not for you. It will destroy you. No, honestly, if you suffer from low self-esteem, comedy will destroy you. Number two, you have to have a thick skin, because comedians are judging you. They are the judges. They will be assessing you whether they find you funny or not. That's point number two. Point number three, it is a very cutthroat environment. Yeah, I know you're not saying that you want people to perform comedy professionally, but you see, this is what I know about stand-up comedy. Once you taste it, it's like a drug. You are not going back. You are not going back. Once you taste it,
it's too good.
It's too good. You are not going back. Honestly, you are not going back. And that is the challenge I have for you about students, because they're so you can easily shape them and impress them in terms of their views, and they will just get hooked on stand-up comedy. And it is no, honestly. And there are There are dark places in comedy. I'm sure you know that. Really dark places where you have to shut the door, because if you open that door, it messes you up.
That is true. Oof, that is true.
I'm sorry. It's just.
You hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. It's not. It's not an easy profession, because you have to have a lot of internal conversations. You have to go home quietly after a bad gig and tell yourself that you're going to go back and do it again, no matter what.
You have to be able to face. I see comedy like facing rejection from a woman. Yeah. There will be lots of rejections. You will storm a gig, and then eventually you think you get rebooked. You are not getting rebooked if you're not part of that clique of people. There's a clique, and you know it. There's a clique of people who run gigs, and if you're not part of that clique, no matter how well you do, even if you raise the roof, even if they carry me out of that venue, if the comedy promoter doesn't like what you've done, you are not getting booked.
But Benjamin, that leads me to another point now. So do you reckon the lockdown is going to make promoters irrelevant to an extent?
I would say.
Because think about it, right? If a comedian, right, is able to gather an audience of like 1,000 people on the internet, if you have 1,000 people that follow you and are willing to watch your gigs, whether it's Zoom or YouTube clips, that's a good audience, man.
Yeah. It depends. It depends, Nelson, on where you think you are in terms of your comedy. So if you want to do comedy as a profession, as you know, there is a career structure within the industry. It's almost like you want to study medicine. There is a circle of people. There's a network of people that will make you succeed. So it's like you want to do medicine. You can't just do medicine without going to the right school. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for some people, mistakes that they've made in the past is they've gone to the wrong comedy course, and then they go to the wrong comedy course. That is not a comedy course that is officially recognized within the industry.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like you saying, oh, I want to do a good example. I want to do politics. So where do you go? It's better for you to go to London School of Economics or Harvard University. You go to Harvard University. That sets you. Yeah. So and that sets you, and that's where people make mistakes, because they want to be on TV, but if you don't do the courses that the TV people are linked to, you ain't going nowhere. Am I making sense? You are not.
No, you're making perfect sense.
Yeah. So, and that's why what I was going to say is that some comedy promoters are really, really important, depending on your career. If you want to remove the middleman, and you just want to perform to an audience, and you don't really care that you are going to be recognized as, the comedy royalty, then you can do it, because there is comedy royalty in the industry.
There is. No, the thing is, you're definitely right. It's an elitist industry, and even if you have 100,000 followers online, no one will respect you if you haven't taken the steps. If you haven't done the comedy stores, if you haven't done the big London gigs, like people will just say, he's funny online, but can he do it on stage? You know, there's a few people
but there's also that recognition. You know, even before the lockdown, I found out, and I don't mind sharing this with you, there is a professional comic network.
Yeah.
So, and in order for you to be in that network, you have to be playing these major clubs. Comedy Store, Banana Cabaret, Glee Club. We're not, sorry, no disrespect. We're not talking about Gonzos. We're not talking about, we're talking about these clubs are record that's the setting. But if you are the sort of comic, go on.
There's only about 10 clubs, right? There's only about 10 of those type of clubs. We can go through them, right? There's a Comedy Store, Banana Cabaret, the 99 Club, Glee Club, Amused Moose, There's the Stand in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Then that's 6 gigs.
Mm.
Is the stand-up club in London still regarded in that regard?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because that one I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
these 6 that I've mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And maybe Backyard Comedy Club if you're headlining or
Yeah,
not
yeah,
doing
yeah,
comedy
yeah,
sports.
yeah, yeah.
Those are the 7 gigs that I know that like they are the. And also, well, there's one where you can't even apply. You need there's some gigs in London where like you could be killing it everywhere, and if
Yeah.
you mess with them, they'll just tell you, "Come on, man, we don't do them things."
Yeah, yeah. But also there are comics who will recommend you to a gig.
Yeah.
So for me, there are two parts to it. There is the career path, which is if you are lucky and you're very clear about where you want to be, that's where you should be focusing on. And there's the non-career path, which is what I call which is what I would also almost call grassroots comedy. You know, you are very popular with the audience. It doesn't matter where you are. You're just having fun, enjoying yourself. And, if these major clubs are not booking you, you can still make a career. You can still, and this is why the lockdown and you being able to shape and adapt is really, really important. I'll give you an example. Like I said, I did a preview of my show 2 weeks ago, and I invited my fans. I didn't have to go through a comedy promoter.
No,
exactly. No. And they came. So, and that's what I'm saying about your. What is your constituents? If you're looking for validation, you'll be messed up. If you're looking for reassurance, you'll be messed up. If you're not confident with yourself, you'll be messed up. If you haven't got good esteem and you don't care and you just want to, I suddenly went in there, deep in. Boom. I had no idea 11 years ago how the whole industry worked. Boom. I just did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I did. This lockdown changed the landscape. And now I've just been thinking that, right, if it gets to a point where, let's say for one reason or the other, these big clubs, let's say some of them don't survive the lockdown, right?
Yeah.
It's going to change the landscape of comedy because even though you were popular at Club X, Club Y, Club Z, you're going to have to start over now because, like, if you can imagine, unless you were holding on to the audience, unless all these people that you're performing to can say, okay, we know John, we know Matt, what I'm saying now is if you had gathered your audience in time when you still could, now you're benefiting. If you weren't into self-promotion before lockdown, now you're stuck. Now what can you do?
I remember when I started, I will admit with you, Nelson, I focused more at the very beginning of my presidency. I focused more on the self-promotion. People liked the president before he even hit the stage. They don't know whether it was crap or not. They just loved the president. They loved it. And all I would say is this: the people who are enjoying the lockdown are those who haven't put their eggs in one basket. Yeah, they're not just performers; they're writers. They can do sketches. They can do radio. They can do TV. They have they're versatile in so many skills, so they can adapt. You understand what I'm saying? If you are someone who all you do is perform, write, and perform, and you are more performing rather than writing, you are totally messed up. Totally messed up. So what has it taught us? It's taught us you can't put your eggs in one basket. You have to.
No, that's true, because just imagine comedians that weren't even on Facebook or like that didn't do as much self-promotion, and now they're starting to think, Jesus, see what we do, my president, even though sometimes self-promotion seems like you're beating your own chest and all that. Even though there's that element, you should look on the bright side in the sense that when people do actually like what you do, they will follow. You and I, we have it might not be massive in my case,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
enough. It's enough for me to put on a Zoom gig, have people to entertain, and this is from years of self-promotion. So
Yeah, yeah.
even though self-promotion is awkward, if you're shy, but it benefits you because now I don't need a promoter to introduce me to 30, 50 people.
No.
They're a click away.
Yeah, yeah. I can confidently tell you after 11 years, I have a fan base. I have people who want to hear from the president on a regular basis, and I interact with them the best way I can. If I wasn't self-promoting, even though self-promoting, as the English will call it, oh, it's very wanky, so wanky. But actually, for me, I am a brand. People want to hear from me on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And this is what is so interesting about the industry, is for me to meet the audience, I have to go through the promoter. And once I go through the promoter and they see me on stage, that is it. They fall in love with me. They're following me.
Yeah, I just need to be on that stage.
I'm just saying to you, I don't care whether you want to put me at Life at the Apollo or whether you want to put me at 10 out of 12 cats or whatever. Just give me that opportunity to be on stage. And you know, the beauty of it all, my friend, for you, I'm sure it's the same. When you have fans like fans of Michael McIntyre, fans of all these top comics also following you, what does that say? What does that actually say?
It's beautiful. It's a self-defined journey. We are in control because the thing is, right, the thing that the industry doesn't want you to know is they don't want you to know how good you are.
Yeah.
Because as long as you doubt yourself, as long as you think you need them, they will always be in power. They think Obonjo, for him to get 10,000, he needs to go through me.
Yeah.
You know, whereas if you can gather your own 10,000 followers, and if they can really say, hey, this is our president, then all these comedy clubs just become less and less significant. Whether you perform.
Yeah, sorry, but I just remembered something as well. But actually, there are comics who I call do-it-yourself comics who have actually done it without the industry. They're not even part of the industry. There's a guy called Jonathan Pye. Do you know about Jonathan Pye?
I know him, and he's famous.
Yeah,
I've been to his live shows, Obonjo. And in the live show, I was thinking, this is not necessarily stand-up comedy, it's more sketches, but it's working. He wouldn't be able to get 10 minutes in most comedy clubs.
He doesn't need 10 minutes from anybody.
He doesn't need from there. Do you know? Here's how I look at it, right? Like, if he messaged people at the beginning of his career saying, I'm more of a character, I have projections, blah, blah, blah. Most promoters will be like, man, I just need someone who comes in, talks on a microphone, and then goes, I don't need any of that extra technological stuff. But it worked, man. And that's how...
One of the support acts, I can't remember who, is a comic. For one of his shows, a stand-up comic was the one who had to open for him before he went on stage to do his thing. And you know the other thing that's really interesting is, and it's as far as I'm concerned, it's snobbery. It's about, before this lockdown, we had quite a number of people who we will call Instagram comedians. You know, they had a big following. Okay, fine, they might well not do well on stage, you know, but
they get a follow.
But who's milking it now? Who is actually milking it now?
Yeah, that's true. Because even though you may have an audience that is big, people can outgrow stuff. People will get bored after a while, you know.
Yeah.
If you're not giving any content, if you're not giving them what they want, there's so much competition out there that they can get bored. So you need to approach it in a way where when someone is a fan, they're genuinely a fan.
Yeah. But for me, you like it or not, the comedy industry is on the ventilator. Yeah. Until they find the vaccine. You know, the whole thing is like, it's almost like COVID is like invading Iraq. That's how I see it coming. And it just destroyed, and it's left this devastation. Even Edible Fringe, that I normally would do every year. I'm not. I don't think it's going to go ahead this year. I don't think so. How's it possible?
I mean, no one has been developing shows like, who's there time to prepare?
No. There's Zoom shows though. There's Zoom shows you can do. You can do shows on Zoom, man.
You know what, right? What I think is the most important thing to take from the lockdown is the fact that it has leveled the playing field. I don't need a promoter to introduce me to an audience. You don't need either. You just need to sit down at home, either record a funny sketch, write something, do it your own self, post it out to the world, and let it play out the way it's meant to play out.
You know what I wanted to do over the weekend? I was thinking about it. I was going to place an advert in the Evening Standard with my photo. I don't know how much it will cost them, to say president who performs comedy in the UK is looking for an audience.
Do it. Obonjo, let me tell you something that I tell all my friends, right? Whenever someone has an idea like that, right, I say, do it, brother.
Yeah.
What's the loss, man? Think about it. Worst case scenario, listen, if it's a newspaper, you will get at least 10,000 eyes.
Look, dressed like this.
And we're talking at the very least. And out of those 10,000, if 2,000 follow you up on social media, that's a win.
Yeah, just do an advert. Find out how much it will cost. Just do an advert. President looking for an audience. Follow him on Twitter.
Do you know why that would be so powerful? Because no one does it. Comedians, a lot of us, or a lot of comedians are people that have second jobs or they're on the come up in life. So this is not something that they do. It's not something that they have budgeted for. They're used to the traditional system. You're in a position where you can actually manipulate forces that are not necessarily available to other comedians. Trust me, if you can afford to run that ad, do it, because it's Benjamin, there is no loss when you're chasing a dream, my brother. Just less.
Look, you see, I for me, based on what we've spoken about in terms of how the comedy landscape has changed, I have no regrets doing it the way I did, because it's helped me in terms of being on stage, that technical ability. I know, even though some people say they reckon that, oh, he's a character comedian, they never ever call me a stand-up comedian. I know the technique of stand-up comedy for the last 11 years. So I won't change that in any shape or form. I wish at times I did more content online, but over the last year, I can confidently, I use my YouTube now. I do stuff on Instagram. We spoke about a sketch about Valentine's yesterday. I did it, so, I have no regrets. I have no regrets whatsoever. I actually think it's made me prepare. It's getting me ready.
You know that people who saw you in Gonzo's years back, like we're talking 5 years back, till this day, if I go, President, they know. Your character is powerful. Yeah. I am not joking at all. Like, people have come and gone from Gonzo's, man. Yeah. I have seen hundreds of comics pass through that stage. But how many do they remember?
Yeah.
How many do they remember?
Bless them. This is why I don't know about you.
Sorry, I was just sorting out.
Yeah, this is why I don't know about you, Nelson. Pandemic or no pandemic, President Obonjo will continue to do what he needs to do till death do us part. Till death do us part. If you like, you want to book me. If you like, you don't want to book me. President Obonjo is going to continue. He stays forever till death.
President Obonjo is like a tree growing in a garden. only the tree can stop itself. You are a force of nature, man.
No, thank you.
Think about it. Think about the fact that at one point, President Obonjo didn't exist. You probably woke up from your sleep one night and thought, my life needs something interesting. And now think about it, man, because people need to understand that, like, we come along. Our stories don't just start like as Africans, man. Our stories don't just start when we come to the UK, man. At one point, you were in Nigeria doing whatever you're doing, and now all of this life is taking you to where you are right now. And this is just in itself is a beautiful story, man.
Look, I don't, and you know, I woke up this morning pinching myself because I people might not believe me, but I'm in touch with Idi Amin's son, and we've been talking every day. Now, this is what's crazy about it, because that's how you say comedy meets history. I just can't. If you had said to me 11 years ago that I will be talking to Idi Amin's son about his father, and you know, it wasn't my plan to have my presidency imitate Idi Amin Dada. It's people. They've shaped the character in such a way that said, "Oh, Idi Amin Dada," and now I'm talking to his son on a regular basis. It's unbelievable.
And think about it, Benjamin. If anyone else had tried to do it, the whole industry would come out and say, "Why are you trying to steal President Obonjo's character?" You know,
well,
it happened, didn't it?
It happened in July. It
happened. But think about it. That's how powerful your brand is, because even if the people on top try to, even if the TV people try to take it, you have put in so much work to a point where there is only one African dictator. There's only one that we know. There's only one. There's only one dictator that we know. And that's the think about it, Benjamin, man. That's work. That's a character. That's something that you cannot just come up with in a year's time. If someone decided today that they want to copy you, they need to put in 5-6 years of work to for people to start saying, Obonjo, I think we need to start replacing you. You are 6 years ahead of your competition. And that is the beauty of chasing dreams, man. And I'm not just saying this because, you know, I'm on your podcast, but when you have an idea and when you see it through, it becomes so powerful to a point where you make money from it, you do all these things, and it literally just came from you putting in work. So all these ideas that we have, man, whether it's jokes, whether it's characters, whether it's these are things that these are investments. These are our products. The idea is a product.
So you have what's going on apart from the fact, okay, fine, the lockdown has changed people's momentum. What the thing that Sandy, you did a show recently, didn't you?
Yeah. I was lucky enough to be offered a show by the Theatre Royal in Norwich, and that was crazy, man. I'm telling you what, Benjamin, I did a 45-minute show. I killed it. Well, I mean, if I do say so myself, people enjoyed it. That was so crazy. And that's just coming from putting myself in a position that whenever things get better, I'm the first one that people look at. That's how I want to operate. So that if comedy clubs tomorrow say we're now open, I want to be in a position to be like, hey, book me, blah, blah. I always want to stay ready for the opportunity. So even though right now there isn't much of an outlet for comedy, we have to be versatile. There's so many aspects to comedy. It's not just performing in front of people. You need to have your clientele. You need to have your dates in order. You need to have your material. You need to have other aspects of promotion, so that even though no one is seeing you, people are still thinking, okay, he's in our minds, you know. So you have to really design your life in a way to be a comedian, man. Like I tell people, I'm a comedian and a paralegal on the side. The comedy comes first, because with the comedy, it's something that no one can ever fire me from. You take a job as a bus driver tomorrow, you can lose it. As a dentist, any job you can get fired from. But a comedian, man, it's a journey. And when you treat it properly, when you give it the respect it deserves, you get so many moments in your life that are just genuine and you could never have picked them. So
certainly, I genuinely believe the industry will come back, but it's going to take its time, and not everyone who's been performing comedy will be able to come back.
Nah,
Yeah, not many, not
nah,
everybody. That's
nah.
just my. This is a. COVID has been a bloody coup. It's been a bloody massless.
Just imagine messaging like the big venues right now, man. Because you know when things get back to normal, there's going to be a massive queue of all these professional comedians that are now thinking, shit, I need to perform. And then the rest of me, like the Nelsons are gonna be pushed back, you know.
No, no. Look, it's already happened. Even some of these what I call prestigious online gigs have comics who have been performing longer, who have a higher profile. They're the ones who are getting booked. You know, all these prestigious corporate gigs. I know that for a fact. But I mean, why would they want to see Nelson when they can get Lee Nelson for X amount? Or why would they want to see President Obonjo when they can get Stephen K. Amos? So if you already have a TV profile, you apart from the fact that they're not busy, they're the ones that people want to see, you know, and that's fine. So I need to create my own. I need to create my own TV. You know, I have to create my own.
Obonjo, whilst you're saying that, I've just realized something, right? You know, earlier on we said that audiences are going to be smaller because people are going to are not going to be happy risking coming out when things get back to normal. Another issue is there's going to be much less money. Paid gigs are not going to be paying that much because people are the pockets are going to be tighter.
Oh.
You know, you're competing with someone who's on Live at the Apollo, who's going to come down from £3,000 a night gigs to like 200. You know, so
I saw a lineup the other day, and it was a lineup full of TV comics, and it was for a comedy club, and it was online. And I just thought, wow, this is what it has become. People are, live at the Apollo doing Zoom. And I'm not knocking Zoom gigs. It's just that, it's just, you know, it feels like the way it is. I don't know how many comics were performing in the UK. At one point, people said maybe they're about 300. But imagine the industry is like a stock market, and then it crashes. It crashes.
It's going to be.
So I am Nelson. I am managing my expectations. For me, I am not expecting, because July 2019 was a big thing for me. I hit the press, and and I thought, boom, life of the Apollo, man. And then I was doing Zoom gigs, man, Zoom gigs. So I have to say to you that I would always remember that memory of July 2019, because they say if they're not, it's flattery that someone wants to copy you, and that's good. But what will happen in the future is all down to us. As far as I'm concerned, don't wait for anybody. If you need to gain new skills, if you need to find new ways of tapping into your audience and creating, I'm on TikTok. Believe it or not, I am on TikTok.
TikTok is not for me. I have tried.
No. I know it is not for you, but I have 25,000 followers on TikTok already. And I'm not doing anything silly. It's not like I'm doing Soloto challenge or all that stuff. I'm not doing any of those. I'm just posting clips. There was one I did where I pretended as if a police dog was chasing me, and I was in uniform, and I got 150,000 views.
Dude, you might as well start a TV station. That's TV numbers, man.
No, I just pretended as if a police dog. There was a sign of a police dog, and I just thought, this would be nice. So what I did was, it was a sketch. I went to a farm, and I dressed in uniform, and I saw these animals, sheep and goats, and I made an announcement, just like Mugabe, and I said, I am seizing this farm. I am seizing this farm and whoever owns this farm. And then I just pretended as if there was a police dog and I started running. Before I knew what was happening, 150,000 views. And I'm saying, what the hell? What the hell? Now I have fans who are supposed to be following Justin Timberlake. They are following me.
Hey, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it.
But go on.
Like, I was going to say that, like, think about it, Obonjo. The industry made us think that we're different from these big names, man. We're not that. We just need to gather our audience.
No, but yeah, I never thought, no disrespect to all these comics. You know to respect comics who have been doing this for a long time. You need to respect comics who have done it, who have respect for the art. So no disrespect to them. The challenge for me at the time that I never really understood, Nelson, was the fact that before I built my audience, I had to go through a comedy promoter. Yeah. And then as soon as I go through a comedy promoter, there's a thing about my presidency. There's an emotional attachment. When they see me on stage, they don't want to let go. The audiences don't want to let go. So what I never really understood is I have to go through a comedy promoter to get the audience. The audience then start following me. And I'm thinking, I have to find a way where I find my own audience.
Cut that middleman, Obonjo.
Yeah, find a way of cutting the middleman. And if that means doing an advert,
do it. You have my blessing. Do that advert. Because trust me, you cannot take a loss. Think about it.
No.
Think about it. People are not going to tear the newspaper out and say, "Who the hell is that?" No.
Yeah, because so for example, we know in the Evening Standard there's a review of comedy acts. Yeah, we have a comedy reviewer who does all that. He's called Brice Desailly, and he's posted stuff about me in the Evening Standard. It's short column, and that's great. But what stops me in just paying for a whole page? Like, I'm president. I'm president of a great nation. Yeah.
Nah, trust me. Like, there's no loss whatsoever when chasing a dream like that. Because a worst case scenario, someone sees that advert, they just flip the page. They cannot dislike. They cannot leave a nasty comment.
Can you imagine? It's just, my name is President Obonjo.
It's perfect.
I am a stand-up comedian, and I am looking for my audience. Bingo.
Let me tell you one thing, Obonjo. Before the lockdown, right? Comedy was set up in such a way where a comedian only needed to be an artist. Mm-hmm. But now a comedian also needs to be a marketing genius.
Oh, George.
A promotional. You need to market yourself. You need to understand how like market trends work, because at the end of the day, you're selling a product, man. Mm-hmm. And if you can develop to a point where you get you can get to 1 million followers. Do you know, like, I was looking at the most popular British comedians on Instagram. Mm. A lot of them, like the ones that do the stand-up comedy circuit, very few of them have like anything more than 20,000 followers. They need to go to America in order to be international. Yeah, that's how it used to happen, right? Mm-hmm. But now you can beat all of them, man, because they were brought up in an old system that's getting irrelevant.
So I should show my age, and even though I said I was an expert on social media, I didn't even know that there is something called YouTube Live, where you can go live on YouTube.
Think about it.
So I've been doing short clips. So today I'm going to do something after this podcast, because there's someone called Obonjo. She's now the new World Trade Organizer, WTO. She's the Director General. She's from Nigeria, but she's been appointed Director General. And what I noticed is that every time you Google Obonjo, you try it, it's her name that comes up. So I want to address the world and say, why is Obonjo? What is wrong with Twitter? Why is Obonjo showing up when it's Obonjo on Twitter? And see what they say, So there's just so much. There's so much going on at the moment. We just need to gather our intelligence,
And one thing that I've started going back on, right? I've started looking back on jokes that didn't necessarily work the first time that I just thrown away because maybe two audience members didn't like it or someone gave me a bad comment. Now I've had time to really look back on stuff. There's so much material, so much to go through. The old system, we were moving so fast, man.
Yeah, but what is your view about networking? So you could be very good in terms of your material, you could be very good as a performer, and you're killing it. But if you do not know the people, that's if you want a career in the industry.
Yeah.
If you do not know who controls the industry, you're going nowhere.
It gets to a point where, like, you should network because eventually you will get to a door that you can't open on your own.
Yeah.
So if you get to the point where you cannot do it yourself, you need someone to let you in, then okay, fine, fair enough. But if you can do it yourself, there's so much power, man. Because think about people like Jonathan Pye. Like, okay, the man built a brand from just sketch comedy, and that's such a powerful, recognizable brand. And if you can get to the point where you can gather a genuine online following, and they can sustain you, whether it's through money or whatever you want, validation or whatever. If you can make that system work for you, then that's good. Of course, you should always be open to new opportunities. And as a comedian, you're an artist, so it's good to try out different audiences. You shouldn't just do one thing. But the foundation must be yours. The reason I say that is because this is a job that, like, no one can fire you from. Imagine if all these years you had gone through an agency, right? And if the agency were in charge of everything, and let's say for one reason or the other, they drop you, or the agency, like, something happens and they're no longer there, does it mean that you stop being a comedian? It just means that you take over from where they left and then you build on.
But that is the point. That's why if you do not have, I honestly, I at one point when people were going on comedy courses, I said they're doing it the wrong way. They should do a course on resilience. They should do a course on confidence. There should be a course on how you can deal with your insecurities. There should be a course on how you deal with low esteem. There should be a course on how you validate yourself rather than wait for people to validate you. There should be a course on, honestly, I feel real passionate about this because I have seen comics just collapse because one person said, "Oh, you are not good." I said, "We're not booking you anymore." And that destroys you as a human being. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm not being arrogant here, I genuinely believe that so far you are living and breathing, nobody is supposed to be superior to the other person. The only reason why people are ahead of you is because, one, they've put the work in. Two, they know who's running the industry. It's as simple as that. And, they don't have an attitude. Do you understand what I'm saying? Those are the three things I think that work. But what really irritates me is where people, that's low self-esteem. If you have low self-esteem, forget it. They will kill you. They will destroy you.
Wow,
and your mental health.
Everyone will destroy you. The promoter, the audience, the other comics, everything. The bartender serving your drink after you bombed. Your friends who came to visit you, everyone will destroy you. Comedy is a game of life, man.
It is. And there are transferable skills as far as I'm concerned. There are transferable skills which is why I agree with you on if comedians rule the world, and you said, teach students, because it teaches them life skills, teaches them real life skills. The only concern I had was, geez, man, there are some dark places, man. There are some dark places I've been to.
It's a dark profession.
Oh, it is dark, lonely, isolating. You are in your own world. At times, I had no idea I was in my own world until after the lockdown. I had no idea, Nelson, that I was married until after the lockdown.
To 6 wives. every day.
Every day of the week, man.
I'll tell you this, right? Comedy it's like boxing, it's like martial arts. It's like when you understand the core principles, man, you can use them in so many other
Yeah,
aspects in life. You can
yeah.
use them to understand people better. You can use them to bounce back from defeat. All of these things are useful.
Yeah. So we're going to round up soon, and you have broken the record because we're having a fun time. Normally we said 45 minutes, but we've been going on for well over 45 minutes, which is great.
I couldn't wait to be tell them why I couldn't get on the podcast.
Yeah, you couldn't get off the phone because your brother was cooking some kind of rice or something.
Okay. No. Last week or the week before, when you wanted me to come on.
Oh, you tell them what happened. You tell them what happened.
No, I was told to isolate for like a few days, and I was so stressed because I didn't know whether I had corona or not. He just told me like you've been in touch with someone who has, and I was like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And you know the thing about this corona thing, it's not like HIV, where you sleep with someone and then it's telling you, oh, you just been in touch with someone. You don't fucking know. But this one, they will track you and tell you.
I'm telling you, I'm like, listen, let me tell you something. At least with AIDS, I go out looking for it. This one comes out looking for me.
How did that make you feel when you probably didn't sleep? Because we were supposed to have that podcast, and then you wrote to me and said, and I could tell that you were in a state, and I thought, let me just leave you. But how did that feel?
Thing is, with corona, it's hard to know how it's going to affect you, because some people have just had a cold, and then some people have had really bad symptoms. So I was stressed up thinking, which one am I going to be? And the problem is, when you think you're sick, everything your body does, you think is a symptom. So whether it's a stomach ache, whether it's a headache, whether it's I'm like, oh God. I remember I couldn't. It wasn't cool, because the thing is, I also didn't know whether I had to like tell my people that I live with and all these people that, hey guys, this is what happened. So it was stressful, man. And also, like, this is such a weird time, because it's like being told do nothing for 9 days. Jesus, God, that's painful. Like, if you have no job, that's fine, but like,
but is it not really interesting how, well, the other thing about COVID is how we have taken simple things for granted. These simple things for granted. Because when you're saying, okay, you're locked in for 9 days, wow, that's because you're used to actually getting out and going out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a social animal, aren't you?
That's who we are, Benjamin. Even just staying indoors, just like not doing anything. Even like sometimes when it's on your own terms, I can do that. I can stay 2-3 days without doing anything. But when someone else is telling you, you have no choice. That's when it's not like
yeah. But it's not the same, because I've spoken to quite a number of British people who keep saying that Britain is under a dictatorship. We can't protest. We can't go out. You can still go out and go and get a pack of condoms. You can still go out, right?
Nah, see, even that in itself, man, it's like, it's made me just question, lifestyle and things that I think I need. The thing is, it's made me realize like some of my old expenses weren't even necessary. I'm looking at like things that I used to spend money on, and I'm, like, I don't really need this, do I?
No. I know exactly.
It's given me time to slow down and just really look at life,
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's been fantastic, and you are feeling better now, aren't you? Even though I heard you cough a little bit, but luckily it can't go through the Zoom. I catch it through Zoom. So what are your plans for the future? Well, apart from comedy, what else is happening to you?
I just want to be happy, man. Just want to be a good son to my parents, a good brother, my little brother, to my sister, a good friend to my friends. Just do, just take life as it's meant to be. Because I realized that in the past I was trying to do a lot of things, and then this lockdown has allowed me to just slow down and also work on my relationship. So now I have more time to just call a friend on a Saturday when I never had time to do that because I was on a train to London and I had to get my head in the mood for a gig, all these things.
Well,
and even though when
go on.
when things get back to normal, I will be doing that. But like now it's more managed. I want to make my life full circle, you know.
No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Like I said, performing comedy is quite
it takes so much from you.
It takes so much. It takes so much from you
because before the gig you're someone else. After the gig you're a different person because of how the gig went, and you can't even just like.
Well, but I'm tenfold, because I have to say to you, the other day when I did this podcast, because I'm definitely at home, I'm not recording it anywhere else. One of my neighbors came knocking on my door, and he peeped through the window and he saw me in uniform, and you know, he probably was just thinking, what the hell is going on here? There must be some kind of issue here. Why is he wearing? Because he doesn't know that I do comedy. And also, when I first started, I just thought, why should I wear this uniform?
Nah, you did
my audience,
so.
but I have to, because this is my brand. This is who I am. But
and it's a strong brand.
Sorry?
It's a strong brand.
Yeah, so who knows? But anyway, look, Nelson, I have taken so much of your time. I want to thank you very much. You you know, I wanted you here because we made a connection well over 7 years ago. You've seen me die, you see me do well. you know, and we've been through that comedy journey together. And I want to wish you well, both in terms of your comedy and also in terms of you being a happy person and your profession. And who knows? Who knows? We'll see what happens. But at the moment, all we can do is just keep zooming and keep zooming.
Benjamin, my friend, God bless you, man.
Yeah. So any final words for my audience, my viewers? And guys, just in case you're a bit confused about what is happening here, you see, I think that there's Nelson is planning a coup, because he's not actually calling me President Obonjo. He keeps calling me by my English name. So it is obvious that after this podcast, if you don't see me, you know that Nelson has been involved, because it's as if he wants my presidency, because he keeps calling me Benjamin. And I don't know who Benjamin is, but also it just goes to show that he's a bit confused. He's not sure who is interviewing him.
Let me tell you something, my president. Have you ever heard of an African? Okay, how do African dictators lose power? Either death, or another coup. There is no election.
Yes.
So if you disappear, they know that the Zimbabwe is taken away.
You know, when I made an announcement. I'm going to leave you with this. I made an announcement about talking to Idi Amin Dada's son and the fact that he might be on my podcast. Yeah. And someone wrote and said, President Obonjo, if I were you, you could lose your arms and legs. I don't think this is such a good idea.
Make sure he's not like his father.
No. I you know, this is what's really interesting. There is one person who has really taken offense by the fact that I want to talk to him. And I've said to the person that, look, it's not like I'm interviewing Idi Amin Dada. I'm actually interviewing his son. Why would I not want to talk to him? I want to hear his narrative. I want to hear, you know, what he thought. You know, what was it like living in that environment? You know, and there might be a different story to share to the world. And I just don't understand people. It's like, you know, you have to condemn people, because my view is that these dictators were good people. It was as soon as they fell out with the West, they started calling them bad dictators. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's my view. You know, they sponsor their governments. They encourage them. And as soon as they fell out with the West, they become something else. That's my view.
And you're not wrong, because at the end of the day, you know, a lot of these dictators were the first leaders of their country.
Mm.
Did they have anyone to follow? Did they have any good example to follow? They did it the way Africans do it. Hey, you give me an economy, you give me a country, I'm employing my best friends, I married 20 women. That's it.
And that's why, that's why I created my own country. I thought I could also do it too, just create my own country.
And I'm chasing all the foreigners out.
I just chase all the foreigners out. So I genuinely want to hear his story, because I know that the narrative that we have been told is totally different. That, you know,
Yeah.
let's hear what was it like? What was it like living under your father time? And do you know what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah, I get it. I was so happy when he got that interview. I was like, yes, my boy he's coming up.
Yeah, and my plan is that, actually I could use that as an advert. And just once that interview takes place, yeah. Look, Nelson.
Think about it. After India means son, you can do Mugabe's son.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. I have a series now. I have to get me that Mugabe. I could do Gaddafi's son,
Hey,
Michael Saddam Hussein's son. I could. That's the plan. That's the plan. I want them to come and talk to me. What was it like? You know, and you know, people will listen to it. People will definitely listen to it. So, but by the way, maybe you because you're from Zimbabwe. Do you have any contacts in town how I can get hold of Mugabe's son?
Not direct. They keep themselves like separate. So I need to message people that I think maybe.
Okay, if you don't mind, that's your task for me. I
No
want to
problem.
interview Mugabe's son, and I will try and get. I demand that you get me his number.
I used to send the youngest one abuse online, actually, because I hated what his dad did to them.
Okay.
When I first came to the UK, I discovered these people's Facebooks, and I'd be like, by the way, just so you know, I hate your father.
You know what one person said to me when they found out that I was going to interview Idi Amin's son, and I said he had 60 children. And someone said to me, it would be a tragedy if after 25 years I've gone and I only have 3 children.
An African man, that's what an African man. We are not the same.
Not the same. Look, Nelson, it's been fantastic. You will get you will get a copy of this. It will be on YouTube, and it will be on the audio version. Your task is to promote it to Zimbabweans and everyone else, including your white folks in Norwich. But thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. It's one of those podcasts where I wish we didn't really end, but I have to go because I'm an old man and the toilet calls and I need to go and do my whatever. So thank you so much. You take care of yourselves, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.
Hey.